In many cases, a lot of other museums are a lot more formal. They feel a lot more exclusive.
But I feel like here, everything is noisy and exciting. And that offers that experience for both kids and adults alike to just be them.
We're not stagnant. You're in an outdoor environment. You're breathing fresh air. Basically tell you a museum can be fun. It doesn't have to be, just stagnant and dull. Learning can be fun.
So at Conner Prairie, our values as an organization is that we have a heart for the past, a head for the present, and an eye to the future. And I really think our staff, each and every day, they look at making those meaningful connections in the community here on site. 2020 particularly, as we began to face both health and societal issues, we really had to rethink the way that we do our business and the way we reposition ourselves. We have to be a community asset. One of the ways we've done that is through our diversity, equity, accessibility, inclusion promise statement, where the doors are always open to a diversity of voices and limitless experiences. And I'm just very proud of the way our staff is always analyzing things. We're an entrepreneurial organization. We're always finding opportunities and change, and that's why we've been successful and actually be more relevant to the community. And I really think that's how we exhibit our values of that heart for the past and head for the present and eye to the future.
My name is Sarah Withrow. I'm very much a part of the Textile Studio and the Loom House. Reimagining here at Conner Prairie for the past year and a half, almost 2 years, has been a little different, a little interesting. In the past, we've always been so much involved with hands-on, be a part of, touch and feel, and give me your thoughts. But this year, with respect for COVID and the distance that we needed to follow, we needed to find other ways to do that. For my part, as a demonstrator, it was more verbal description, being as detailed as I could, but also making comparisons and contrasts. To be a part of the story, I think, is a big part of our story. Have guests be involved in what's going on.
My name is Shante Gaston. I'm a senior interpreter here. Sometimes you'll see me out here in the grounds, in costume, playing the characters, doing programs. Conner Prairie is set up to be able to give people a unique museum experience. You walk out into the grounds and you are in a Civil War, or you are in Prairie Town, you're in Lenape. So you get to talk to people and see the costumes and see people walking around in the costumes. So we are presenting history and trying to teach people in an immersive way. What our present looks like is not exactly what our past looked like, especially when we're talking about, say, accessibility. We wouldn't have ramps on these buildings in 1836, but today we should. So we're merging kind of two worlds so that we can fit today's present, because we want to make sure that everyone can experience this, but in a comfortable way.
My name is Dwight Gallian. What we do here in the trades department, we just don't pretend to be blacksmiths, we are blacksmiths. What we do here is we teach history. I see the story in my mind when I'm telling it. And when I tell one, I want to be able to do that to my audience too. I want them to be able, through my words, to actually visualize. I want to paint a picture in words. When I came here, things were different. What changed from there to now was, instead of trying to get across a certain story or part of history, we want to see what your interests are. When you say something to me, and I can tell by the way that you look or gesture or something that that's something that interests you very much, that's more important. We're going to follow your interests. We're going to see where that leads, where that follows, what you want to know.
I'm Brandi Zollman. I'm the Director of Education. Once I started here, I was given the opportunity to study learning in a different way. The philosophy that we created allowed children to guide the learning, puts the focus on the learner and asks the facilitator of that learning to be interested in the person in front of them. And when we do that, it becomes an experience that is far beyond what the guests expected when they came here. It goes beyond the content, beyond the learning even, and becomes an interaction between two humans who find common ground. Those are the moments that I believe are magical and that I believe make people want to come back.
My name is Rachel Sego. Started off as an interpreter. I transitioned into the indoor experience coordinator, which is in charge of everything from Discovery Station to Create Connect. Whenever I started here, Craft Corner had very dedicated crafts where the kids were like, make a pumpkin, make a whatever. Slowly over time, we have transitioned more into this, why have these dedicated crafts? It's way more interesting to see the really cool things that kids can create when you just give them supplies. Honestly, it's been magic to watch in here. The linger time of guests in this space has gone from like the 5-minute little craft that kids would do to I've seen guests stay in here for over an hour working on things. I really think learning needs to be an individualized experience. Some people learn by just sitting back and watching. Some people learn by having an actual conversation with you. Some people learn by tinkering. Giving people the space to do all of those things is very important, and I think we're well on our way to making that happen for everyone.
If we want to change the way people view and use museums, it starts with the humans that work here. It starts in our hearts and in our heads. We are only able to acknowledge the stories that we've already heard, appreciate what's come before, but also acknowledge what was missing from the stories that we've been told or taught. And so the staff is committed to remembering the stories that maybe we weren't telling.
I'm Reggie Henderson. I'm chairman of the board of Conner Prairie. In the past, Conner Prairie was focused basically on the European story. Now we're seeing a very welcome inclusion of other stories as well. And as a result, that also just sort of shows the ability to grow, to expand the story, to expand the mission, and to do so in such a way that the story doesn't become old, it doesn't become staid, and it doesn't become stagnant. History, of course, is something that continues. It grows, so the story from 1830 to 1999 is a lot different than it is now from 1830 to 2022.
My name is Dr. Charlene Fletcher, and I am the curatorial director here at Conner Prairie. My department is tasked with ensuring that all historical research is taken care of, done properly, accurately across the institution. We're standing in the vault right now. We have more than 20,000 objects just in our collection alone, but a lot of those objects do not speak to the experiences of Hoosiers of color. And so as we diversify, we have a staff that is taking serious interest and care in sharing these stories through not only storytelling on the grounds, visitor interaction, but also being able to understand the new objects that will become part of Conner Prairie's permanent collection. We will celebrate the opening of our newest exhibition, Promised Land is Proving Ground, this year in 2022, which delivers the story of African American history. Conner Prairie needs to move forward in a new direction to ensure that everyone that comes here feels welcome, but also that everyone that comes here can not only see themselves, but learn about that history and how we interact and how we shape our communities so that we can move forward.
I think as I think back of the last 2 years, it's tough. It's been tough on everyone. But I'm just so pleased at the way we were able to plan and pivot. I think that's where the creativity of our staff, my colleagues here at Conner Prairie, a lot of people kind of go inward during a crisis situation. I feel like Conner Prairie, that our staff and as an organization, we begin to look at ourselves outward. Just because it's a crisis doesn't mean we can't serve. Just because it's a crisis doesn't mean we have to set our obligations aside. And that's really what I'm most proud of is how my colleagues, both on staff and our board, how we made commitments to this community and were able to do things that a lot of organizations weren't able to do.